Our speakers today are Steve Beamer, Michael Kraus, and Angela Morris. They will introduce themselves as they come up. I will not go over their bios at this point in time. Their bios are also on the web server and the app for the forum. Okay, digital transformation in the process industries. Looking where we've come from over the last, I'll say, 4 years and where we're going into the future. We've got some very good perspectives for major players in the process industry today. Two of the speakers have been on panels earlier in the week, and so now you get a chance to actually interrogate them even closer. As Michael Guilfoy, one of our ARC colleagues, mentioned in the keynote on Tuesday, there's been a lot of consultant research done on Industry 4.0 implementation and progress. And there are some very compelling statistics. So I'm repeating a couple of statistics that he presented, and his statistics are maybe even a little bit more dire, you might say, than mine. And in his presentation, he had a number 80-10. What I'm saying here is my look at it is greater than 75% of participants, potential participants in Industry 4.0 in the process industries. Remember, it's in discrete and hybrid industries also. 75% have some type of 4.0 activity going on, and being aggressively driven by the corporate executives of the individual companies. What is a little bit disturbing is, based on all this activity that's going on, my data show less than 25% actually have found true business opportunities. Mike's data was a little bit more dire than that. I think it was 11% is what he had. The data consistently says that there's some challenges out there, and we need to understand from these pilots and initial implementations to understand what success is and what less than success is that we can avoid. Now, also, there's an industry interesting trend out there also, that the process industries in particular, as far as implementation goes, are lagging behind the discrete and hybrid industries. So maybe talking to our presenters today, we might get some insight into what may be the unique barriers in the process industry that's causing more delay in taking advantage of digital transformation. A number of top challenges are listed out there with regard to challenges. You can read the list as well as I, but the top one seems to be the most compelling issue out there. And the top one says lack of concrete value propositions to justify investment. What happens in the pilots is, in many cases, they found technically viable solutions, digital transformation, technical solutions that are technologically viable. But the business case upon which the pilots were predicated doesn't seem to prove out the return that the CFO, CEOs of the company are looking for. So are we looking in the right places for applying digital transformation? Think about these questions as we enter into the question and answer phase to see if we can find some insights as to what are these barriers. At the end, I'll summarize what I believe I've heard and maybe help us with a revised path forward. So I mentioned it's unclear whether there's a clearly defined benefit specific for the process industries. We'll look into that. They have noted that it's not a limitation of technology. It is how you use the solutions, not what the solutions technically are. So the CFOs wait. They wait until they find the killer app, that which is going to create the money necessary to invest further. So we've got these use cases. And I want to jump into these use cases rather quickly, and then we can have more discussion about those. This is all rhetoric. One of the things, though, I find interesting, though, about potential use cases, one of the consulting firms out there has something called the technology maturity curve, and you'll see names of certain types of technologies that are out there vying for an investment. Some of them will look very familiar to you, like asset performance management and predictive analytics, machine learning. We've heard a lot about that today. Those are the rising stars of interest that have yet to necessarily prove value creation. There is some disillusionment out there in investment that goes around certain technologies and capabilities that have been explored but not successfully found closure around. There are the last three items, though, I'd like you to focus your attention on, and this is specific to the process industries. There are three, I'll call them generic value cases out there that seem to be finding traction. One of the value propositions is around asset performance management with respect to equipment utilization. The process industries tend to be very capital intensive, and obviously return on investment of capital is very important, and converting actionable intelligence from asset performance solutions and actually taking definitive changes to improve the equipment performance and reliability does have tangible value from an equipment utilization standpoint. The second one has to do opportunity in the process industries actually revolves around the supply chain. Process industries tend to handle large volumes of raw material, large volumes of physical goods that come out of those, and the logistics and the carrying cost of inventory, be it raw material or finished materials, is very high. So optimizing the information to improve the throughput of various processes has some very tangible value should you be able to change the trajectory based on new intelligence. Last but not least, opportunity that's emerging in the process areas or process industries, which has been pioneered by the discrete industries, is something called PLM. Now, for this audience, PLM may be a foreign acronym. PLM stands for Product Lifecycle Management. And the value proposition in the process industries is simply this, and I'll pose it as a question to you. If I improve asset utilization, equipment efficiency, what have you, and open up higher machine time availability, does that necessarily create value for your company? The answer is no, if there's a lack of demand. Okay, and what do I mean by lack of demand? We need to fill that new machine availability up with new products and be more agile with that machinery to utilize that underperforming asset. The way to do that is to monetize innovation. In other words, expedite new products or modified products from your R&D organizations through engineering and into these manufacturing facilities to actually increase the actual utilization of the manufacturing plants and generate more revenue from these new products. So I leave those two thoughts in mind as we have our presenters give their use cases. Again, summary here. So let's move on